Hi, today I'm going to be doing video presentation number 2, and I'm going to be talking about individualism. So, individualism is examining what it is to be an existing individual, being a person. Um, and John Wolfe kind of goes into it, talking about whether the individual is prior to society or vice versa. Society is prior to the individual. Um, when you're looking at the individual being prior to society, then you get more into what George Berkeley was talking about, which was humans don't really exist. It's that there's no actual physical humans. It's that I think, therefore I am statement by Descartes. And then it's just, it's that individual perception of how we see the world, kind of going into, those millions of thoughts, that can't really be perceived. Those millions of thoughts that really we can't even perceive just what kind of thoughts there could be that could explain an individual. And it's interesting, but then you have the thought of society being prior to individuals, which comes into a really interesting part where it's that the only reason that individuals would come prior to society is that there's so little people that they have to form a society. So, there's, maybe 10 people and they create, Bob's Society. And Bob's Society is governed by, flipping a coin. But that would be the society because there's so little people to actually form a good society from. But I personally believe that the individual comes before society. That society is not this pre-made thing, that society evolves kind of with us. You have to think back in, and I'm going to kind of go anthropologic on this, but you got to think back way before, ancient ancestors. It's like it's the strongest or the wisest guy that becomes the chief, and they kind of watch over the group, but they all in that group mentality. Everyone has their job, and then it goes into monarchies and all of this stuff, and then it goes into presidential and weird stuff. And as we evolve, those society evolves with us. That's what I think. The individuals make up that society. If we didn't have the individuals, the societies wouldn't exist. But I think as we evolve even further and further with individuals and societies and the relationship between those two, I think it can come to a point where society comes prior to individuals, where we have these set of societies and we just essentially need the individuals to fill it up to create those societies. So I think that it's a kind of imitation of both, where individuals come before society, but society can come before individuals. That's my own take on it. But I just sound like a madman. And that's just about it. The individual, it's your own take. It's the individualism, looking at an existing individual. If you go further into individualism, you can kind of get into deeper works that kind of stand alone on their own, that individualism doesn't really kind of explain. It's their own theories about it. So like feminism, it could be considered a branch of individualism, but feminism has its own kind of unique settings, its own unique set of outlooks, that political philosophy that it has on its own, while individualism has its own kind of political philosophy of the individual and all of that stuff. Well, thank you for listening.